Again, for those I haven't met, my name is Kalakantha Das. I'm visiting from Florida, USA. I have been in ISKCON since 1972, initiated in 1973, and I've served as a temple president and writer, advisor in various fields for this movement as a religious professional. As a householder, I have a wife and 3 children, 3 grandchildren. We have maintained ourselves through a little real estate business on the side so I could feed my ISKCON habit. And my special interests have been in presenting Krishna consciousness to Westerners, young Westerners, because this aspect of our movement was very prominent back in the early days of the movement when I became a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. In those days, all the action in ISKCON was happening in North America, Australia, and Europe, and India was Timbuktu. A very remote, difficult place. And devotees came here and with great challenge and great austerity managed to establish the first few temples. And now ISKCON India is just expanding wonderfully. And ISKCON in North America is growing but very slowly. So my interest over the last few years is how to revive that more dynamic appeal that ISKCON held in the early days in the 60s and 70s. So, and in our efforts to reach more local audiences, we are putting some of the traditional books and Bhajans into English in a way that allows them to be sung along with the original Bengali or Sanskrit. So this is always kind of a lot of fun for me and for the people who come to my seminars. We can sing along and follow the meaning at the same time as we're singing the originals. So I guess in other words what I'm saying is I am a plagiarist of a poet. I'm just taking all the ideas and realizations of the acharyas and putting them in a way that could be comfortable for the English-speaking audience. I hope everybody here will be comfortable with English. Do you think we'll need to have a translation when we're discussing? Anyone here?
Okay. English யாரா தெரியாதவங்க இருக்கீங்களா? தமிழ்ல ட்ரான்ஸ்லேஷன் பண்ணனுமா? யாருக்காவது? எல்லாருக்கும் புரியல இங்கிலீஷ்? Yes.
Okay, so at least for the bhajan parts, we'll have English only, and then if we need, we can do translation. Okay. All right. Are you familiar with this bhajan? Okay, this is called, well, it's known as Boro Sukher Kabor Gai. Means I'm coming with great news and bringing very exciting news. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying in this bhajan that next door to his house in Surabhi Kunja, there is now a marketplace of the holy name that has been set up by Lord Nityananda. And he's very happy about this because Lord Nityananda is the owner and the broker. This next slide is Koda Nitai. Can we skip ahead? Yes, so Koda Nitai means Lord Nityananda is the owner and the manager of the marketplace of the holy name. Can everyone see the words clearly? Everyone good? Okay. All right, so we'll sing this responsively in Bengali and English, and we'll have a chance to see how Lord Nityananda acts as the owner and manager of the marketplace of the holy name. He qualifies his purchasers, his customers, and does anyone know what is the coin of the realm? What is the currency by which you can purchase in the marketplace of the holy name? Shraddha, yes, a little faith. So there's 2 kinds of faith in the process of bhakti. Adal Shraddha means preliminary faith, that God exists and I want to know God. So that much is necessary to gain admittance into the marketplace. And then there is Nishtha, or unflinching faith, that develops with time and experience. So one does not need Nishtha to enter the marketplace, just Adal Shraddha, just a little bit of faith. Although if one attains nishta and asakti and the higher stages of love, and to the point where teardrops start falling when one is chanting the holy name, then Lord Nityananda gives special concessions for those customers. In addition, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is taking advantage of Lord Nityananda's willingness. As the owner and manager, he offers a commission. So he offers a commission for any customers that Bhaktivinoda brings. And who are the customers? Yeah, we are the customers. Right, so Lord Nityananda is the owner and manager, Bhaktivinoda is the salesman, and we are the customers, okay? Oh, we need Mridanga and Kartals. How can we have the marketplace of the holy name without any Mridanga players in the house? No. Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to do with that. Maybe we could just bring up. Huh? Okay, 5 minutes. That'd be very helpful. Thank you. Yeah, we need a Mridanga player, don't you think? All right. So while we're waiting, does anyone have any questions about my life or experience or anything else that you might like to know before we start this morning? Prabhuji? You can just shout it out. I'll repeat.
Can you just tell us how you came to this movement, how you met Srila Prabhupada?
I was 18 years old, and I was seeking and reading different books on philosophy and not finding any answers. So I had become very despondent, thinking that there's really no way to understand God and life. And then I met devotees doing Harinam, and they struck me immediately as, well, these are people who are walking the talk. They are not only teaching something, but they're practicing it. And it's serious. And so I went to the temple for the first time, and they served malpura and samosas at the Sunday feast. And I said, can I move in? And they had a very strict examination process. They said, okay. So I moved in, and like that became a brahmachari. There was very little background. And so after a couple of months, it began to sink in that, wow, this is very serious, but it's also very fun. And so I had 10 wonderful years as a brahmachari after that, and did a lot of traveling, book distribution, and had the association of wonderful devotees like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, Satsarup Maharaj. And then I became a grihastha at age 28. I've been married 43 years now. And my first meeting with Srila Prabhupada was as a brahmachari in 1973. I saw him in Los Angeles. I was not an intimate disciple by any means, but I did get to see him about 50 times, giving lectures, morning walks, darshans. And for me, it was like being with Jesus. I realized that there was something very big going on, but I did not have the capacity to really understand it. So I just tried to go along for the ride and watch and learn. And there were many of us like that in those days that were very young and inexperienced. And Srila Prabhupada was very kind. You know, the most experienced people in ISKCON, the most senior devotees, when Srila Prabhupada left this world in 1977, they were young men for whom I'm not sure I would loan my car keys, you know. But he left them in charge of the whole movement. And so there were a lot of mistakes, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of confusion. And Prabhupada writes about that. After the departure of the spiritual master, there is chaos. And fortunately, Prabhupada has many, many sincere devotees who have continued to work diligently to establish things in the proper way that would please him. Now ISKCON is 50 plus years old, and historians of religion say that if a new religious movement can last 50 years, it has a very good chance of lasting indefinitely. So ISKCON has been established by such a nice program Srila Prabhupada gave that it's very likely it will carry on. So I've been proud to be part of this movement, and the times I met Srila Prabhupada, I can tell you this story. We were all very much hankering to have Prabhupada's Vapu association, his physical presence. And that seemed to be like the real place you would make spiritual advancement, if you got to serve Prabhupada personally. And so, one time I had that opportunity. We were on traveling book distribution. We went to Chicago where Prabhupada was serving, and the devotee was staying for a short time. So the devotee who was in charge of cooking for Prabhupada asked me if I'd like to help cook. I didn't know how to cook, but I said, of course I'd be happy to cook for Prabhupada. So he taught me how to make sandesh. And sandesh is a very low-skilled type of preparation. You just have to knead and knead and knead and knead. So I was doing that and managed to make some simple sandesh. Then he said, would you like to offer the plate to Prabhupada? So this was my big chance to have Vapu association. So of course I took that chance. I went in, I put the plate in front of Prabhupada. He looked at me and said nothing. And so I paid obeisances and left as instructed, waited outside when he would ring the bell when he was finished. So I heard the bell, I came in, paid obeisances, picked up the plate, he looked at me and said nothing. So I was thinking, well, he didn't say anything, but at least he took some of my sandesh. I saw that on the plate and I was thinking, okay, now I can get some of Prabhupada's remnants. And I closed the door to his room, and immediately across the hall, the door opened. It was Brahmananda Swami, 300 pounds. Where's Prabhupada's plate? Took the whole thing. So the next day, my friend the cook said, Prabhupada asked why so many devotees were staying back from book distribution to cook for him. So you see, I was thinking, this will help me, this is my big chance for spiritual advancement. But what Prabhupada actually wanted was for me to do my regular service. So it was a good lesson for me. The Vapu, or physical association of the spiritual master, Prabhupada said is for the fools. It is for those who don't have the intelligence to take the instruction and execute it. Srila Prabhupada himself said he only saw his Guru Maharaj about a dozen times. So, yes, the idea of serving the order of the spiritual master is really the important part. I learned from that lesson. Okay? Okay. All right, let's start with this. Shall we give it a try? Thank you, Mr. Madanga Prabhu. Borosukher Kaborgai, Borosukher Kaborgai. Have to be a little faster. Surabi kunjete namer hatuleche. I sing of ecstatic news, blissful and fantastic news. Nity's. You might have to sit a little closer, I think, Prabhu. More ecstatic news. I sing of ecstatic news, blissful and fantastic news. Nity's Kirtan marketplaces in Surabi Kunja. Koda Nitai, Koda Nitai. Boro Mojar Katatai, Boro Mojar Katatai. Shraddha Mulye Shuddha Namaste Hatete Bikai. There are smiles on every face in that holy marketplace. Krishna's holy names are sold for just the price of faith. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Jata Bhakta Brinda Basi, Jata Bhakta Brinda Basi. Dadikare Deke Nama Beche Daro Kasi. All devotees are attracted to the market's interactions. Nittai qualifies each buyer, then conducts transactions. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Jadi nama kimbe pai, jadi nama kimbe pai. Amar sange chalo mahajane kache jai. Brother, if you want to buy, let us go now, you and I. Let us go and meet with the illustrious Nitai. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. To me kimbe Krishna nama, to me kimbe Krishna nama. Dastar ilo igbo ami purna habikama. You will buy the name of Krishna, I will gather my commission. Then we both shall relish our auspicious acquisition. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Borodoyal Nityananda, Borodoyal Nityananda. Shraddha Matra Loyedin Paramananda. Nittai is so very generous, faith is all he's asking of us. In exchange he gives us bliss unparalleled and endless. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Ek bar dekle chak se jal, ek bar dekle chak se jal. Gora bole nitai din sakala sambal. Now chant Gora if Nitai sees one teardrop in your eye. Anything you want or need, he surely will supply. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Den Shudha Krishna Shiksha, Den Shudha Krishna Shiksha. Jati Dana Vidya Bala Na Kore Apeksha. Krishna's teachings are so pure, this profound entrepreneur. not for your knowledge, money, strength, or even your birth. Kodhanitai, Kodhanitai. Amani chadi maya jal, amani chade maya jal. Grihe tako bane tako natake janjal. Forest, home, or anywhere, shedding Maya's web of snares. All at once you will be free of each and every care. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Anaiko color boy, Anaiko color boy. Achandale de namanitai doya moyan. Nitai doya moy. Although Kali Yuga is here, you don't have a thing to fear. Even chandalas can buy from this kind marketeer. Kodhanitai, Kodhanitai. Bhakti Vinoda Dakhi Koi, Bhakti Vinoda Dakhi Koi. Nitai Charana Bina Arnahi Ashroy. Bhakti Vinoda cries out, Nitai's feet there is no doubt. Are they only shelter you can never do without? Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Kodanitai, Kodanitai. Gaura Premanandi, Ego. Any of those verses stand out to you? Any reflections on anything from Bhaktivinoda's bhajan here?
The song was very nice. So I'm hearing it for the first time, but actually you sang the translation also as a song, right? So that actually attracted so much and gave so much of emotions.
Oh, good. So you enjoyed singing the English along.
Yeah, that was very nice. I mean, it's a very good way of meditating on it. I mean, first time I'm hearing like this, and it's really good.
Good, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Now, what do you think about this verse where he says, okay, you buy the name of Krishna and I'll get my commission? What is the commission that we get when we sell the holy name to someone? Prema. Yes, we get some special mercy from Krishna, huh? Nachatas man manuseshu. Remember this verse from the Gita, that if one shares the message of Bhagavad Gita, that makes one especially dear to Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Could you kindly move my laptop down here? Down here, yeah. So I can reach. Thanks. All right. Other reflections from the bhajan? We'll do more, so if you don't mind. Are you comfortable, Prabhu? Okay. Any other reflections from this bhajan? Yes.
The line where it was mentioned that Nitai, if he sees a drop of tear in your eyes,
Yes.
and that was so hope-giving.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes. These are the advanced stages of chanting, right? So, the devotee was asking in class this morning, I'm chanting, but I still have material attachments, right? So, what is the position of such a person? So, this is the antithesis, right, of like shedding tears of ecstasy when we chant. That we're chanting, but we still have material desires or thoughts or distractions. So, it's important to understand this is a phase of chanting. It's called the clearing stage, where the anarthas are gradually losing their grip on us. When we're chanting, if we're thinking about the past, like something we should have done or should have said, or somebody that hurt us, this is which mode of nature? When we're, what? No, thinking about the past. Any other guesses? There's only 3. No, tamagun, yes. If our mind is in the past, then we're thinking about things that are already dead and gone. Right? And so it's really a wasted thought. Depression is a consequence of thinking about the past a lot. It's said that depression is actually repressed anger. We're angry about something that happened in the past. Maybe we didn't express it, but we still feel it. So if the mind is going to the past, that's tamagun. How about if the mind is going to the future? As rajagun, yes. We're thinking about what we're going to do today or tomorrow or for the rest of our lives. This is rajagun, because rajagun wants us to know, okay, here's the plan, bang, bang, bang. I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And so instead of hearing the holy name, we're thinking about what's coming up next in our day or in our lives. So this rajagun, tamagun, rajagun creates anxiety. If we're feeling anxious, if we're worried, that means we're being subjected to the mode of passion. So what is the symptom of the mode of goodness? Being in the present, exactly, yes. Being in the present. And what are we doing at the present? Chanting japa, right. So all that matters is that next bead. That's all. Nothing to worry about, nothing to look back on. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, forget the past that's dead and sleeps, and never the future fear at all, but live in times that are with you, and progress you shall call. So being in the present, when we're chanting our japa, is the way to get the most benefit. Because we're talking to Krishna. We're talking to Krishna. It's like we're having a conversation with somebody, but we're not paying attention to what we're saying. Have you ever experienced that? Maybe you've done it, or somebody has done it to you. They're talking with you, but you can see that their mind is elsewhere. How do you feel in such a situation? Someone's talking to you, yes, yes, yes. But they're watching the TV, right? Or they're scrolling on their phone. Yes, yes. Right. How important do you feel? Right. So in this way, if we chant with attention, we understand that Krishna is fully present. In fact, there is no difference between Krishna and his name. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. There is no difference between Krishna and his name. Once a devotee said, Prabhupada, Krishna is fully present in his holy name. And Prabhupada said, oh, where in his holy name is Krishna present? There is no distinction between Krishna and his name. In the 1960s, Srila Prabhupada wrote a Bengali poetic edition of the Bhagavad Gita called Gitar Gan. Have you ever heard of this book? Probably not so much here. It's very popular in Bengal and Bangladesh because he put all of the 700 verses in rhyming Bengali couplets so they could be sung. And Bhakti True Maharaj had professional musicians record them for Prabhupada's 100th birth anniversary in 1996. So in the last verse, see, he doesn't write any purports in the Gitar Gan. No purports. He just kind of weaves points into the translation. So in the very last verse of the Gita, he writes that Krishna and his name are non-different. So this is not present in the original text. Yatrago Ageshwara Krishna Tatar Partha Dinordana Tatoshir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitra Matirmana. Krishna's name is not mentioned anywhere in that. But his point is so important at the conclusion of this whole Bhagavad Gita, he puts, yes, Krishna and his name are non-different. Which means that whenever we say Krishna, say Krishna. Krishna is present right there, yes, just like that. So when we're chanting, are we attentive to the conversation? And another thing about this, since we're purchasing the holy name in the marketplace, we might as well get the most for our money, right? So when we're chanting, if we're investing the time in chanting, it's so helpful to understand that Krishna sees everything and he knows everything and he's fully aware of our state of mind. Therefore, there's no need to put on a kind of a facade or show or think that Krishna will only accept me if I'm in this way. See? So I have to change myself so Krishna will accept. No, if we're coming to Krishna with a bunch of anxieties, just share those anxieties with Krishna. Krishna, I'm chanting this morning and I'm worrying about my job. Krishna, I'm chanting this morning and I'm worried about this friendship. Krishna, I'm chanting this morning and I'm worried about this or that. Krishna, I'm chanting this morning, I'm angry at this person because of this or that. We don't have to hide these things from Krishna, as if we could anyway. We just realize we're approaching Krishna in kind of a limited state. Like, it's like if we broke our arm and we're trying to cook, well, we could only do so much with one hand. So we've got some difficulty, we've got something on our mind that's keeping us from being attentive, just being that honest with Krishna. Here I am, your foolish servant in the material world, chanting and worrying about who's going to win the cricket match or whatever. Right? This is my position. Anyway, here I am. You promised to accept me, so you have to take me, cricket and all. In this way, we don't get into a conflict within ourselves as we're chanting. See? In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there's this beautiful verse where Krishna says that the mind of the yogi is like the ocean that is absorbing all the water from the rivers and yet is staying in its place. See, so in the same way, the mind will generate many thoughts and desires like a river. But the devotee is not disturbed, of just absorbing these things, not trying to stop them, not trying to interfere with them, not condemning them, not judging them in any way, just observing. Here is my mind going on this direction. In this way, we can take full advantage of our purchase at the marketplace of the holy name. All right, any other thoughts on this? Yes, Prabhu.
That one line about the preaching, that when we preach, we get benefit both of us. When we give
Yes.
Krishna's holy name, then we get both of our benefit.
Yes. When we preach and somebody makes a purchase, we get our commission. Yes. And what is that commission? You know, for the rest of, you have changed this person's destiny. You know, and maybe for the rest of their lives, this person you have introduced Krishna to, they're going to chant. Every time they chant, you get a benefit. Right? Every time they chant. It's not like there's a Christian joke, okay? That the miser, his whole life he didn't believe in God, didn't go to church. He's getting older and he thought, maybe just in case. So he went to the church, he put 50 rupees in the collection box. Shortly after that, he died. So then he ascended to heaven, and St. Peter, the angel in charge of the gates of heaven, met him. He said, "What are you doing here?" He said, no, I put my 50 rupees in the box. He said, just a minute, let me check my records. So then he comes back, he says, here, take your 50 rupees and go to hell. So that's a Christian joke, but this does not apply in Krishna consciousness. What does Krishna say about devotional service in chapter 2? Nehabhikramo nasasti pratyavaya navidyate swapam yasya dharmasya trayate mahate. Even a little progress can save one from the most dangerous type of fear. So the point is, if somebody chants as a result of our intervention in their lives, for the rest of their lives, every time they chant, we're getting some benefit. It's like in business, an override, right? You get an override from your customer. And if they get a customer, you get an override from them also. Smaller and smaller, but still. So this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. You know, it spreads like COVID, and people become infected, and then they infect others. All right, thank you. Very nice. Anything else, Prabhu? Yes, Sumitra Prabhu.
Sometimes in business, a customer can buy a product, but he may not use it. So in the marketplace, they will buy the holy name and they will not use it.
They buy the product, but they don't use it. Yeah, then they have actually not really purchased the product, have they? If the price of purchase is shraddha, has to be enough faith to try. When I'm presenting Krishna consciousness in the West, this is what we really stress, that look, this is an experiment to try. Okay, the scientific process means experiment, hypothesis, and conclusion. So try the chanting as an experiment. Hypothesis, experiment, conclusion. So the hypothesis, if you chant, you will become fulfilled and enthusiastic in life. Then the experiment you have to make. Okay? Nobody else can make that experiment for you. You have to make. Then you draw your conclusion. So try the chanting. Have at least that much faith to try. If people refuse to try the scientific method, then they're really kind of just prejudiced. They don't really have an open mind. And we tell them, if you just try the chanting and you don't like it, then there's a karma back guarantee. Whatever you're doing before, you can go right back to that. You will not be brainwashed. You will not be committed. You don't have to join anything. Just try it. Just try the chanting. So this is how we... And sometimes they take it and sometimes they don't. Still, there's no loss, right, in our effort. Yes, anything? Yes?
Even Chandal can buy from the so that is very hope-giving.
Yes. Lord Nityananda does not take our past life into account when he's selling. Did you notice in the earlier verse he said, he qualifies each buyer. What that means is a person has to come with a purpose, okay, at least I'm willing to experiment. That's our qualification. And if we're willing to try, you can come in and purchase. So then we are fortunate, as you say, that his only qualification is a little faith. We don't need to be Brahminical by birth. We don't need to have money. We don't need to be educated. We don't need to be physically strong. He doesn't care about any of those things. I wanted to share with you this morning, I had this amazing experience. I decided to go down to the beach to chant my japa. And it was about 5 and still dark, so I asked the security guard, I said, is it safe? He's like, oh, yeah, go. So, and sure enough, yes, he was right. It was a very peaceful walk to the beach, and then I was walking. But so I live in Florida where there's many beaches. And I was wondering, okay, what will it be like to see this beach in Chennai for the first time? And guess what was the very first thing I saw when I stepped on the beach? Any guesses? It was 5 Brahmins doing a yagya. Sunrise yagya. And so I thought it was very auspicious. So the Brahminical qualification used to be necessary to understand Krishna. And by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, that's out the window, no longer necessary. We can certainly do the Brahminical rituals, and that's fine, but they're no longer necessary. Sumitra Prabhu was explaining yesterday that one of our guests was asking, in the Vedas it says Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So why is it reversed in ISKCON? And So Mitra Prabhu explained that Lord Chaitanya said these people are not qualified to chant the Vedas, therefore we'll change it. So we're not qualified to chant or to recite the Vedas, but we are qualified to chant this amended version of this Vedic mantra. See? So yes, no qualifications, no bodily judgment. Can I share a story with you? I used to be a bhakta leader in Los Angeles temple. And so my service there was introducing and training newcomers to Krishna consciousness. So my mentor, Dhanavir Maharaj, taught me, whoever comes, you give them a chance. Whoever comes, you give them a chance. So this one man came in one day. He was a tall African-American man, very big man, 250 pounds, homeless. He was homeless. He was humble, polite, and he had gotten a book in downtown Los Angeles, came out to the temple on the bus, really wanted to learn more, said, could I stay in the ashram? And so this is somebody who knew nothing, who had no material qualification, but I remembered what my mentor said. I said, yes, you can certainly give it a try. So he moved in, he became a wonderful bhakta. And then later on, about 4 or 5 years later, he became the head pujari for the temple, because he was the only one that could get along with everybody. So for many years, he was a very beloved head pujari named Ram Das in Los Angeles, and he contracted cancer and left his body in Vrindavan some years later. And my point is that the mood of Lord Nityananda is very accepting and generous. Even chandalas, the dog eaters. That was another funny thing this morning. I just have to share with you. As I was walking over there, I saw a pack of street dogs. And then I turned the corner, and there was I think a maid from one of the houses there walking a dog. It looks exactly like one of the street dogs. But this one had a collar and a leash, and somebody to feed them and take care of them. So anyway, chandalas, the dog eaters, even they can be eligible. All right, anything else? Yes?
So there's a Maharaj said that pure teachings of Krishna doesn't get even the wealth or money or anything that actually the
Yes. The wealth is not a consideration. There was a story about a synagogue in the inner city, a Jewish temple. And it was a poor neighborhood, but there was a few wealthy men. And so one day the rabbi was giving an impassioned sermon, very inspiring, and suddenly from the front row this wealthy man stood up and threw himself in front of the rabbi and said, I am nothing, I am nothing. And everyone was so moved. And the rabbi went on speaking, and then another one of the wealthy men stood up, threw himself in front of the rabbi and said, I am nothing, I am nothing. And everyone was just crying. And then the rabbi went on, and then a third wealthy man stood up, threw himself in front of the altar. I am nothing. Now the audience was completely broken down. And the rabbi went on, and then the janitor came from the back of the synagogue, and he threw himself in front of the rabbi. I am nothing, I am nothing. And one rich man says to the other, look who thinks he's nothing. So, Srila Prabhupada was once asked, what is the most important passage in Srimad Bhagavatam? As Professor Thomas Hopkins, who is a scholar of Bhagavatam, asked his opinion. What do you think is the most important passage? He quoted this verse, 1-2-9, first canto, second chapter, verse 9. Does anyone know this verse? It is Dharmasya hyapavargasya narta utaya upakalpate. Nartasya dharmakantasya kamalabhaya hismrita. This means that spiritual life should never be performed for economic gain. And if in the course of your spiritual life you get economic gain, should never be used for sense gratification. So he considered this such an important teaching that it was the first verse that came to his mind. And he also referred to many others after that. That chapter in large is very important. So the point is that when we come to Krishna consciousness, we are here for the purpose of serving Krishna. And economic development may come or it may not come. That's up to Krishna. We often show Krishna our willingness to serve by being willing to accept situations which may be less comfortable or secure than we had before. And that is a little test that comes from Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada was in his Vanaprastha stage, he was discussing this verse from the 10th canto with one of his godbrothers. Harishe tadhanam shanat. Yes, when I'm especially merciful to someone, Krishna says, I believe at the end of the 10th canto, he says, I take away their money. Yes. If Krishna likes you, he gives you money. If he loves you, he takes it away. And why does that help our spiritual life? Because when we take away when Krishna takes away our money, then all of our relatives no longer are interested in our association. Yes. We have a chance to give up a lot of material attachments that way. At the same time, there is no harm if money comes or we have money. It's just how do we use it that is important. If we use it for Krishna's service, then we can take unlimited amounts of money. If in the way we're thinking, okay, this is mine, then we have some conflict. There's a story about 3 religious leaders. There was a rabbi and a priest and a minister. So they were talking, when we do our collection on the Sunday service, how do you divide it up? And so the minister said, well, I have a very simple system. Whatever comes in the collection, I take 50% and 50% is for the Lord. And the priest said, I have a slightly different system. I take the collection plate to my office. In my office, there's a piece of tape on the floor. I turn the plate over, and whatever falls on this side is for the Lord, and whatever falls on this side is for me. And the rabbi said, well, I have a slightly different system. After the service, I go to my office, I take the collection plate, I throw it in the air, the Lord takes whatever he wants. Dharmasya hyapavargasa. Yes, we don't do our spiritual life for material gain. Srila Prabhupada said that, Krishna sent him money and men because he was ready to use them in Krishna's service. And it was quite miraculous. Prabhupada was forecast to be one of the wealthiest men in India in his horoscope. So he always thought, I'm going to do this by making a big business. He told this very interesting story. When he was, of course, a young man, he refused to take his college degree as a protest to the British Raj. And so it would have compromised his employment opportunities somewhat, but he was willing to make that statement. So one of his father's friends, Dr. Bose, had a chemical laboratory and business, so he hired his friend's son in an executive position. Generally, you would enter and you work your way up, but he hired him right away in executive position. So some of the other more senior employees were not happy with this. Why is this young man being promoted above us? And he said, Dr. Bose said that, well, for this position, I need somebody to sign checks, I need somebody I would trust, and this boy is like my son. So in this way, Prabhupada had his job, and he was going along when a competitor, another company, offered him a similar position. By this time, he had learned the industry, he had learned the trade, so they offered him a better salary in another company. So he said, I was young and puffed up. And so I said to them, yes, I will take your position if you give me this and give me this. And he gave a bunch of conditions. And they said no. He said, I could, if I had that job, I could have just sat in an office signing checks and made lakhs and lakhs of rupees. But for this reason, he didn't get that job. But then the other executives at the company found out he was talking to the other company. And so they told Dr. Bose, oh, did you know that this trusted employee of yours is talking to your competitors? And so Dr. Bose was in this difficult position, so I said, okay, why don't you start your own company? So that's what he did in Allahabad. And he was at times very prosperous, but at other times it was not going well. And he would wonder, why is Krishna making this difficult? At the same time, he was not really that interested in it. So his plans were to make money through business and then spread Krishna consciousness. But all of his efforts came to naught. So he just went out without money and started preaching in Jhansi. So anyway, it's a touchy relationship between devotees and money. Do you know this? You know why this is the case, right? Once a group of Brahmins were asking, who is supreme, Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva? And so they asked Bhrigu Muni, you find out who is the supreme. So he went first to Brahma, who was his father. And he was waiting when Brahma came in the room. He did not stand up and show respect. He committed an offense of the mind, disrespecting. So Brahma was quite angry. What is this insolence? And he pacified. He managed to pacify. I'm sorry, Father, I'm sorry. So then he went on to see Lord Shiva, his brother. And for Shiva, he decided, I'll commit an offense of the speech. So he started saying, look at you, all covered with ashes. You're wearing a garland of skulls around your neck, hanging out with ghosts and low-class people. What kind of brother are you? So Lord Shiva became very angry and was about to kill him when Parvati intervened. No, this is your brother. Another instance of women being more intelligent than men. She intervened, she stopped him, and so Bhrigu was saved. Then he went on to see Lord Vishnu, and for him he decided, I'll commit an offense of the body. So he kicked him in the chest. And Lord Vishnu said, my dear Bhrigu, my chest is so hard and your foot is so soft. Did I hurt your foot? So Bhrigu could understand, because he did not get angry, Lord Vishnu is the supreme. Although Lord Vishnu did not get angry, Lakshmi was very disturbed. Why are you kicking my husband? So from that time on, the Brahmins have always been poor. Parikshit Maharaj was asking Sukadev, why is it Shiva is so austere, but his followers are very wealthy? But Vishnu is so opulent and his followers are poor. So this was the answer that he gave. Okay, any other questions on this? Yes, Prabhu? Yeah, I don't speak Bengali, so I'm not sure. Koda, I just understand it means owner and manager in Bengali. This is the owner and manager of the marketplace of the holy name. Okay. Should we do another bhajan? Should we move on? Okay.
Yeah.
Could we? Could I speak this? I think we need to plug in my laptop. Plug this in. Did you set it up? Okay.
Laptop.
The black one. Okay. Can you hear the harmonium all right? Okay. Nittai guna mani amar nittai guna mani. Nittai guna mani amar nittai guna mani. Aniya premier vanya basha ilo avani. Nittai jewel of virtues, oh my Nittai best of pearls. Your ecstatic flood of prem has overwhelmed the world. Premier Vanya Loya Nittai Ila Goda Deshe. Dubilo Bhakata Ganadina Hina Pase. When you flooded Goda Desh with your ecstatic love. All the blissful bhaktas watch the wretched float above. Dinahina patita pamara nahi bache. Pamar durlabha prema sabakare jache. And Nitai bestows prema on fallen souls who didn't care. Even Lord Brahma longs for the prem that Nitai shares. Abadha karuna sindhu Nitai katiyam. Rohan gare gare bule prema yarban. Gare bule prema yarban. Nitai cut a channel to this pent-up sea of love. Now it splashes house to house in great ecstatic flood. Lochan bole more Nitai jebana bajilo. Janiya shuniya se atma gatoilo. Se atma gatoilo. Lochanda says anyone not worshipping Nitai. Misses on this wondrous chance committing suicide. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shishi Gaur Nitai ki jai. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Can we go back to the first verse, Prabhuji? Thank you. So yes, this Nitai Gunamani, Prabhupada makes a recording of this bhajan. Nitai Gunamani, the best of jewels. Lord Nityananda is releasing this flood of bhakti all over the world. There you go. Nitai, jewel of virtues, O my Nitai, best of pearls, your ecstatic prem, flood of prem has overwhelmed the world. When we are enjoying our spiritual life, we are moving forward to this stage of prema. Prema means that we have certain symptoms of ecstasy that kind of impede our normal flow of activities. We have choking of the voice, or tears, or horripilation, standing of hairs on the body. But it's important to understand, we may taste, has anyone experienced some of these, like an ecstatic kirtan, or at some point you have just a little glimpse of these ecstatic symptoms. We had a new bhakta in Gainesville one time, and he was trying to get ahead of the game a little passionate. And he was in a kirtan, we were in a kirtan, and he said, look, hairs on my arm are standing on him. So one of the qualities of the devotee who's genuinely experiencing prema is they don't like to share that with others. It's very personal. And yet, Lord Nityananda has made this prema available everywhere. In fact, he's cut a channel, he's cut a hole in the dike that is holding it back, so that it's just going everywhere, drowning the whole world. So in this next verse, he says, all the devotees are looking up and seeing that the unfortunate souls are not drowning. They are floating on top of the ocean. Do you remember this from Chaitanya Charitamrita? When Lord Chaitanya unleashed this flood of flame, all the Mayavadis and Jnanis floated to the top. They couldn't dive and surface. And so for that reason he devised a trick. What was the trick Lord Chaitanya took in order to capture the Mayavadis?
Humility and the body.
His effulgence?
Effulgence,
yes. Before that, yes, he took sannyas. He did not need to take sannyas as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, Lord Nityananda was so exasperated by him taking sannyas that he broke his danda and threw it in the river. But he did this in order to gain the respect of the impersonalists and the jnanis, because the sannyasis were treated with respect. In the purport to that verse, Srila Prabhupada writes about his experiences of preaching in the West. The Chaitanya Charitamrita is really the mature fruit, in many respects, of Prabhupada's literary output. He had done the first 6 or 7 cantos of Bhagavatam, he'd done the Gita, and now he was doing Chaitanya Charitamrita. And by that time, unlike his previous books, the ISKCON movement had already started, right? So he already had this experience, and not only in the West, but in India and all over the world. So now he was presenting Krishna consciousness from that point of view, having established ISKCON internationally. So in that purport, Prabhupada writes that just as Lord Chaitanya tricked the impersonalists by taking sannyas, the Acharya has to make adjustments according to time, place, and circumstance in order to attract the conditioned souls. So he said, in the West, we are giving facility for women to stay in our temples and practice Krishna consciousness. And he said, I am criticized by my godbrothers for doing this. He said, but they cannot do anything to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So if the Acharya is making adjustments for that purpose, what is the need for criticizing? He said, they will have to be satisfied with their own foolishness because they cannot do what Lord Chaitanya asked to be done. So making adjustments, he said, is necessary according to time, place, and circumstance. And how we present, specifically he says, we would present Krishna consciousness in India in a different way we would present it in America or Europe. And so the idea is the principles are never violated. For example, we don't say, okay, well, in the West you can eat meat a little bit, that's all right. No, no. Principles are inviolable, but the details are flexible. So this allows us to have an ecstatic relationship with Krishna that is not just, okay, here's a set of rituals to do, but how can we adjust things in this time and circumstance to get to do the most for Krishna's service. And this is the duty of all of us to think at all times. How can we adjust? What is a detail and what is a principle? Prabhupada was asked this question, how do you tell the difference between a detail and a principle? He says that requires some intelligence. So something we can sacrifice just to expedite our service. We can, for example, one devotee some years ago in Mayapur gave a class. He was saying, if you're going to be Brahmin, you have to take a bath anytime you touch your shoes. So when he said that, I was thinking, how do you put your shoes on without touching them, at least to one part of your body? I think he was indicating if you touch with your hands. And so that's clearly a Paka standard, and very nice to do. But if we have service to do we have time to, I have to go take a bath. I have to go take a bath. In Vrindavan years ago, there was one of my godbrothers, a rather eccentric gentleman, very sincere devotee. Every day, when Prabhupada would come out for his morning walk, he would come up and start reciting verses from the Vedas in glorification of the spiritual master. Finally, one day, Prabhupada looked at him and said, do something practical. So he grabbed a broom and started sweeping. So after that, every day he would be sweeping when Prabhupada came out. So yes, the details are flexible. And in the West, people are very used to a co-educational environment where men and women have equal rights. And that's true because the men are so lousy. The men are so irresponsible. Women have to take more responsibility to protect themselves. There's no ethic of being protected, or very little ethic of being protected. And so women are accustomed to getting an education, entering the marketplace, competing with men for jobs. And sometimes people, they criticize that. Well, we should implement Vedic culture. So my question for them is, why do we start with the women? Right? Let's implement Vedic culture. Great. How about if we start with the men? Let's get the men straightened out so that they can properly give protection to wife and children, and then we'll find the ladies will naturally be very chaste and happy and content with that life in most cases. See? So seeing this absence of protection, Prabhupada said, yes, these women are approaching, and how can I not give them shelter? So he gave orders for all of the temples in the West to have brahmacharini ashrams, something unheard of in India, more or less, except in the like Brahma Kumaris, who are all women. So this coeducational environment allows people to feel more comfortable and at home in the West. At the same time, in India, it would not fly. So this is an example of Prabhupada making adjustments according to time and circumstance so that all those floating on the top can also drown in the ocean of prema. Any thoughts about this bhajan or any questions for this topic? Okay, how are we doing? Everybody, all right, shall we carry on? Okay, let's see, we've got several bhajans to choose from. How about this? We'll try this Markini Bhagavad Dharma. I understand Markini is Bengali for America. So it's preaching Krishna consciousness in America, Markini Bhagavad Dharma. This is the poem that Prabhupada wrote after first exiting the Jaladuta in Boston Harbor. They were just making a short stop in Boston. He got off and looked around the city, and then he came back on the boat and wrote this. This is before he disembarked in New York and went on to begin his mission. Let's see. Boro Kripa Koila Krishna Adamir Prati Kaila Gya Niletam Koro Ebigati Kripa Kaile Krishna Adamir Prati My most dear and kind Lord Krishna, though I don't know why, you have brought me to this place to act as you decide. Nache kichu karjataba e anumane nahi keno ani bin e ugrastane. hear that I don't understand. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this awful land? Rajastamo Gunera Sabai Achana Vasudev Kataruchi Nahe Se Prasanna. People here enjoy their bodies, living in the modes. How can they see Krishna talk will satisfy their soul? Tabe jadi taba kripa Hoi ahoi tuki Sakali sambhava hoi Tumi se kautuki. You are most compassionate, the transcendental mystic. Therefore, the impossible will soon be realistic. When will Kibhave Buchale Tara Buche Se Rasa Ete Kripa Koro Prabhu Kori Nijabasa. When will they learn how this bhakti rasa benefits them? Only by your mercy could I possibly convince them. Taba ichcha hoi jadi tadera udar buji benis shaita ben Kata se tomara. Briefly leave these fallen souls for, if you so desire, they will gain the insight from your words that they require. Kikore buchabo kata baro se chahi chudra amidina hina kono shakti nahi. How can I persuade them, being fallen and alone? Only you can do it. I am helpless on my own. Atacha anecho Prabhu Kata boli bare je tomarich cha Prabhu Koro e bare. Somehow, Lord, you brought me here to teach them about you. My success or failure now will happen as you choose. Akila Jagat Guru Bhajana Amar Alankrita Koribar Shamata Tomara. The universe, I simply speak your words. If you energize my speech, your message will be heard. Taba kripa halemor kata shudha habe shuniya sabara shoka dukkha che guchibe. By your mercy, everything I say will grow more pure. Then their miseries will vanish. Of that I am sure. Aniyacho jari Prabhu amare nachate nacho 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 Prabhu nacho se mate nakashtera putali jata nachao se mate. Aniyacho jari Prabhu amare nachate nacho nacho Prabhu nacho se mate kastera putali jata nachao se mate. I'm your dancing puppet, Lord, if dancing is required. Make me dance, yes, make me dance, and dance as you desire. Lord, lift and dance required. Make me dance, yes, make me dance, and dance as you desire. Bhakti nahi Veda nahi name kudaro. Bhakti Vedanta nam ebi sartakoro. Name kunaro bhakti vedanta ebi sartakoro. I lack bhakti and vedanta, still I have strong faith. Only you can manifest the purport of my name. Only you can manifest the purport of my name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, by the way, Prabhu. Very nice mridanga. Thank you. All right, so wasn't that powerful? All those incredible statements Prabhupada is making. Any reflections anyone like to share? Thinking about this, Prabhupada just saw his first glimpse of the West, and then he came back and wrote this. Any thoughts? Yes.
Prabhupada, this prayer is very, very honest, and as you described, that he just, ISKCON has not yet started.
No.
So he did not envision that like 50 years later, devotees will gather and read this prayer. So this was straight from his heart, and he's talking to Krishna directly.
Yes.
So that honesty, and when Prabhupada is saying, I lack bhakti, I lack Vedanta. So it was not like for me, sometimes I'll say, oh, I'm not qualified, or I'm not. So it's not like, he's not faking.
No.
He honestly feels it, and
I hope everyone could hear this beautiful realization. Prabhupada was not faking it, and he had no idea if anyone would ever even read this poem again. He was just expressing his heart to Krishna. I don't know why you've brought me to this place. Can you imagine the culture shock? Seeing this materially, heavily conditioned place where there was not even a slight sense of Krishna consciousness. Just people deeply in the modes of nature and very materialistic. So yeah, that's a very nice point. If I might just add, has anyone read the Vyas Puja offering that Prabhupada wrote for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta? Adore, adore ye all that happy day, blessed in heaven, sweeter than me. So he had written that in 1936 or 35, before Bhaktisiddhanta's departure. And it was lost. And just one of his disciples happened to come across it in an old edition of his Godbrother's newspaper. So he was very pleased to see, oh, this poem that I wrote so many years ago has been found. So now, yes, this very heartfelt poem we celebrate. Sumitra Krishna Prabhu?
We have heard this song many times, sung also in Bengali. And later we go scroll down and read the meanings. But by seeing the English meaning directly, really melts our heart.
I'm glad you liked it, so thank you, Prabhu. This gives.
My question to you is, what inspired you to write all the Bengali songs in English rhyming?
Well, for this reason, that I have been singing these songs, many of them for 50 years. And really, if you had asked me, I couldn't tell you what they mean, only in the most general and vague way. So actually, Srila Prabhupada himself attempted to put a couple of bhajan, one bhajan, Hari Hari Bipale, into English rhyme. It wasn't a major part of his writing, obviously, but he did it, and Bhaktisiddhanta did it also. Even Achyutananda Prabhu said he tried to do it. So it helps to be a nerd, and just be willing to sit there and try to evaluate words and synonyms and accents and pronunciations. Somehow that interests me. When I was in high school, I read a poem by Kipling. Have you heard of this poem called If? It's a beautiful poem, huh? In the angst of my youth, that poem really inspired me. And so you could say something meaningful in rhyme and rhythm. A lot of poetry these days is what they call free verse, which means it has no rhyme and it has no meter. You just kind of make short expressions. So one writer compares that to playing tennis without a net. There's no. So anyway, it always fascinated me for some reason, and I just enjoy doing it. I'm glad you like it.
What do you think that if if we translate these songs in local language,
Yes.
like Hindi, Tamil, Telugu,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Kirtan ministry oppose or what is it?
Nobody has objected so far. You know that old saying, it's better to get forgiveness than permission?
Because many times visitors come to temples, they're not even able to pronounce what we're singing in Tulsi Puja,
Yeah.
Sandhya Arati.
Yes.
If we can sing this in a local language, Tamil, I'm sure that
I really hope that will happen, and moreover, if anyone is interested to do that, I'm happy to coach them some of the shortcuts and the techniques for getting it to fit. Very happy to help. Okay, yes, Prabhu.
By going through this, I also felt that Prabhupada was prideless, and it was expression of his transcendental humility. So, and I feel that any preacher, they should meditate on this, if possible, daily. This prayer.
Any
Because it's a hugely empowering, seeking empower and understanding that we have powerless and the Lord empowers us.
when we're putting ourselves at Krishna's disposal, that's how we become empowered, actually. Yes, right? Krishna can do whatever he likes. I'm committed. My part of the bargain. Yeah. That's what's so evident. Like you said, it's so empowering to see. You know, we're not the doers. Have you ever heard this expression, making devotees? Let's make some devotees. You know, we think, okay, let's go out and preach and we'll make devotees. At least this is a common phrase in the West. And I started thinking about that because you really can't go and tackle someone in the street and drag them back. You know, it really depends on the super soul inspiring. There was a famous novel and movie called Frankenstein. So in the Frankenstein story, the mad doctor goes to the graveyard and he cuts off arms and legs and a head, and he goes back to his laboratory and assembles them and sends electricity through them, and a monster comes to life. So we can't make devotees like that, you know. Krishna has to inspire them in the heart. If we could make devotees in that way, it would give a whole new meaning to the phrase, all glories to the assembled devotees. That's a joke, I hope you get it. So we can only make the endeavor and depend on Super Soul. So this is what Prabhupada is saying, isn't it? You alone can make this happen. I have no power. You can empower my words if you like. Alone I have no power.
And one point you made in today's morning session was that about Acharya, that one learns, one practices, and one reaches, and then the spiritual master sends the devotees. So, I mean, it is all aligning with this.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Srila Prabhupada said, I see you all as representatives of my Guru Maharaj. And having heard about Bhaktisiddhanta and knowing where we were, that was a stunning statement. And I wasn't even sure if he was just trying to encourage us a little bit. But now I understand. He's saying that my Guru has sent me to you to take care of. Or sent you to me, rather, for me to take care of. It's my duty now. My service to my Guru is taking care of you. Therefore, you are his representative to me. If you are doing well, then I know my Guru is pleased. If I'm serving you well, I'm serving my Guru. Yeah, that's...
Also in the last line, I like Bhakti and Vedanta. Still I trust you that you will allow the meaning of many become true. So Prabhupada for Bhakti Vedanta. So he's asking the Lord, please make it true. I was thinking that he got get initiation and get a spiritual name. After getting the name, we should dedicate that. Well, my Guru has given this name, I should follow them. The name.
That's beautiful. Yes, our spiritual names have this deep meaning. What is that? Yeah, what is it that is?
Very difficult.
Sumitra means?
Auspicious friend.
Auspicious?
Krishna is auspicious friend of everyone.
Auspicious friend. Oh, yes, right.
He has no enemy.
Sumitra, yes, okay, gotcha. Could someone bring me a copy of the book from the back called All That Lies Between? I'd like to read a little excerpt. One of the books, All That Lies Between. Thank you. You could pass that up or bring it up. By the way, you notice on all of these bhajans, Bhakti Vinod says, thank you, at the end of Nitai, Koda Nitai, he speaks, Bhaktivinoda says this at the end of Nitai Gunamayi, Mochandas says this at the end of this prayer, Bhaktivedanta, only you can give meaning. Do you know why everybody all the poets put their name at the end? It's a poor man's copyright, that's one thing. That's one side of it. So nobody can just come along and copy the whole thing and say, I wrote it. The name is there. On the other side, the author wants to make it clear that if there's any faults in the composition, it's my fault. So no one will blame anyone but me. I take full responsibility for that. Okay. Any other comments? Yes?
This song about Prabhupada is so good. I'm not qualified.
Do you want to use this? Yeah. Thank you.
The song that Prabhupada always says that I'm not qualified to have this Bhakti Vedanta name. But we see that Prabhupada made this huge movement and we are happy because of Prabhupada. And sometimes I feel that even if I distribute one food, I was very pumped up and oh, I distributed one food. And my friend, nothing. And but Prabhupada, he established this movement and how he was so humble.
Very sweet. So, you said, yes, Prabhupada was giving all credit to Lord Krishna and his guru, whereas we do a little thing, we get puffed up. Yeah. So, Srila Prabhupada said that a devotee can have pride in one's guru, pride in Krishna consciousness. It's okay to be proud on behalf. We don't have to be ashamed or quiet even about that. That pride can be freely expressed. And if we are a little proud in our service, Krishna has a wonderful way of humiliating us. Doesn't it? That's one of the qualities of the test from Krishna is you feel humiliated and helpless. Like there's nothing you can do about it. Have you experienced this? Like the gopis, yes. So when they were proud, Krishna disappeared. When they became humble, he came back. So we can be proud. Prabhupada would express pride in his accomplishments, and then he would give credit to his Guru Maharaj. It is all his doing. And it was not an empty statement. You know, when you take a role of spiritual leadership, you get two things. You get praise and you get karma. You get praise, people say, oh, you're such a great sadhu, and then they want to touch your feet, and you get all their karma. So, for both things, we have to offer that to our spiritual master. We have to offer it in the disciplic succession. We don't have the strength to accept the karma of others, but we can offer it in disciplic succession. We don't deserve to accept the praise of others because we wouldn't be here if it were not for his grace, our Guru's grace, right? So we're just collecting both on behalf of our spiritual master. Some people are afraid to take spiritual leadership roles for these reasons. I don't want to take people's karma, or I might get puffed up if people praise me. So both things, okay, I'm just a conduit here. I am just a connection. And this I'm taking on behalf of my Guru and I'm giving to my Guru. And I'm not putting any in my pocket on the way. This is the whole system of disciplic succession, parampara, one after the next. It all comes from giving credit to our spiritual master. Anything else on this? Yes, Prabhuji. And then, go ahead.
Dance as you like, he said.
Do you want to pass?
Dance as you like.
Dance as you like. Dance as you like.
Express full surrender.
That expresses full surrender, yes. Well, yeah, what if we don't like to dance? Anyone here an introvert? How many people feel like they're introverted? Do you know what that means? Like you prefer to be by yourself, you feel shy around other people? No? Very extroverted here in South India. Okay, great. It's a good quality. Sometimes for distributing books, one would have to be very aggressive or to try to stop people and get their attention. And you get 19 no's for every yes. Yeah? So there's a lot of humiliation, a lot of humbleness. And for many people that was very uncomfortable. In the 1970s, we all kind of thought, that's how you're a devotee. You have to go and distribute books. If you don't go out and distribute books, you're not a devotee. You know, or you can't please Prabhupada. That really wasn't the case. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked by a room full of book distributors, Prabhupada, how can we please you in the best way? And of course, they were expecting an answer, by distributing my books. But he didn't take the bait. He said, by loving Krishna. So some of us may be inclined to dance and be in public roles, and some may not. That really isn't important, even for sharing Krishna consciousness. If we share with our friends, our family members, that's a beautiful thing. If we share with just somebody happens to come to us by Krishna's arrangement, we sit next to them on the train or something, and they have a little interest, we just fan that spark, we get their names, we write, we follow up. You know, that's being an acharya. That's dancing according to our capacity. Okay? Thank you. This young lady back here, yes?
Surrender, as he said, the same point, surrender, that he has surrendered on Krishna and as well as on his Guru, and that was, very, very beautifully he had written this particular song. That in the surrender, one of the lyrics of surrender is humility, and Prabhupada is so beautifully narrating this and taking a very humble position to surrender to the Lord and his spiritual.
Beautiful, yes, thank you. Do you know this expression that humility does not mean thinking less of yourself, it means thinking of yourself less. So when we're preoccupied with our position, what is my advancement, am I being humble, am I being puffed, then we're not really thinking about Krishna, we're thinking about ourselves. So real humility is very simple. It's just what can I do to serve Krishna at this moment? It may be good, it may be bad, I may be doing it well, I may be not. I'm going to do my best, and I just want to please Krishna. This is humility. And we're thinking about Krishna and not about ourselves. I mentioned last night my godbrother Jayananda, he was asked, Jayananda Prabhu, how do you make spiritual advancement? He said, I don't know, I'm too busy to think about it. Okay, next other question.
Krishna Prabhu, I just want to add one more. I had one realization from this song, so that Prabhupada mentions in his last thing that he is lagging in bhakti at Vedanta, but he has very strong faith on the Supreme Lord. So that is the success factor here, which I learned from this song. That I may not be a great scholar in scriptures, but if I have strong faith in Krishna, then I can become a good preacher.
Wonderful. Prabhupada's faith is just inconceivable, isn't it? Can you imagine trying for years and decades back to Godhead and Jhansi and just being Srimad Bhagavatam, writing a whole Bhagavad Gita single-handedly. Prabhupada only typed with 2 fingers, and there was no soft copies. He made a hard copy of the manuscript for Bhagavad Gita, 1,000 pages, got a publisher ready to go, and then somebody stole it, thinking that it was, this could be valuable. How much? And then it's 70 years old. And one casual disciple in India, after years of trying, and then coming to this strange country to keep trying. How much faith he had in the order. This gets back to your point, Abhiram Prabhu, that yes, he had faith no matter what. I am executing the order, that's all I can do, that's all that matters. I'm executing the order, that's all that matters. That we always have control over that. We don't have control over what is happening around us. And when times are good, it's easy to feel good, but when times are bad, that is when our faith is really tested. A lot has to do also with being finished with this material world. There is nothing in this world worth staying around for. So what do I have but the order of my spiritual master? What do I have but the mission of Lord Chaitanya? I have nothing else, I might as well. Okay, could we pass the microphone up front, please? Here we go, this devotee right here. Yes, thank you.
Nice, thank you so much.
So, Prabhuji, I know Prabhupada is an introvert devotee, but still he has to go through a lot of sufferings before going to West. And even after going to West for 1 year or 2 years, he was alone and he has to suffer alone. So, can you enlighten us from the perspective of how we have to understand this and what the lesson that we have to learn?
Yes, Srila Prabhupada said that his sufferings were his credit. He was gored by a stray cow in Delhi when he was trying to distribute back to Godhead. He had heat stroke. And he said, these things were my credits, that I continued in spite of these difficulties. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranasthiti. Declare it boldly, my devotee never perishes. Now, why didn't Krishna say it? Because, well, first of all, Krishna was concerned people might not trust him. But second, he wanted to glorify his devotee. He wants the devotee to take the credit. See? Krishna he could make the whole world Krishna conscious by inspiring everyone in their hearts to chant Hare Krishna. But he's giving us that opportunity. He's giving us that service. So the sufferings, Bhaktivinoda says, the sufferings that I undergo in the service of my Lord, I consider the greatest joys. Bhaktisiddhanta said that one who treads the path of God will find it is strewn with thorns. The other day I was had the opportunity to have lunch with Shivaram Maharaj in Mayapur and some other devotees. One of the devotees was talking about this. She's a nice lady, a professional, and she was saying, I know this man in my work. He's a very famous professor, and somehow he has never had any problems in his life. It's amazing. And so I suggested, well, why don't you ask him to join ISKCON, and then he can have the full experience. I don't know any devotees who have not had very challenging difficulties. And of course we have the motto that Prabhupada gave from the prayers of Lord Brahma, Tat te nukampam susamikshramano, that when difficulties come, we have a threefold strategy. First, we accept responsibility. And that responsibility may not be immediate. It's just that we recognize somewhere along the line we rejected Krishna and we came to the material world, and now what do we expect but trouble in the material world? The original fault was mine. Secondly, I'm going to continue my service in spite of these obstacles. I'm not going to be affected, or I'm not going to be stopped, however difficult it is to continue. I'm continuing nonetheless. And as I continue, the third thing, I fully expect Krishna will be merciful to me. So there is optimism, even in the face of difficulty. First there's ownership, and then there is determination, and then there's optimism. This is how a devotee deals with difficulties. We have to know that nothing happens without Krishna's arrangement. How often we forget that. Something unwanted happens and we want to blame somebody else. It's his fault, it's his fault. No, it is Krishna's manifestation for us. I had a wonderful friend who passed away recently named Peter Burwash. Peter Burwash was a tennis expert. And when he was just starting his career, he discovered Krishna consciousness. And so he became an enthusiastic devotee. And he raised $1,000, which was a huge amount of money for him. And he gave it to the temple to become a member. And so the temple president received this $1,000 and promptly left the temple. So he was quite exasperated. He went to Srila Prabhupada and told him what happened. And Prabhupada said, do not blame the agent of your karma. And Peter said he made that a cornerstone of his spiritual life from that point on. Do not blame the agent of your karma. We have such a strong tendency to do that. But we have to first say, no, I take responsibility. You remember when Maharaj Parikshit reads the age of Kali in the first canto? He's patrolling his kingdom, and he comes on this unprecedented sight of a Shudra beating a cow, beating them severely, so much so that the cow and the bull are injured, and the bull is down to one leg, just standing on one leg. The other three are broken. So Maharaj Parikshit comes on the scene, and he asks a very strange question. First he admonishes the man, stop beating that bull. And then he says to the bull, "Who has done this to you?" Now, it doesn't take much of a Sherlock Holmes to figure out the criminal in this case, you know. He's standing right there. He personally saw it, and yet he asked the bull, "Who is doing this to you?" And so, of course, if it was you or me, we might have lifted our one remaining leg and said, "It was him." But the bull answers. He says, "Well, some people say that we suffer due to our own past sinful activities. And some people say that suffering is caused by the demigods. Or some people say that they're astrological things. And some people say you cannot explain why we suffer. So in light of all these different possibilities, what do you think?" And Maharaj Pariksit says, "You are religion personified because you refuse to blame the person who is bringing you pain. You refuse to do it. Why? Because if you blame that person, then you come down to their level. If we blame the agent of our karma, then we are now entangled with that person. Now we have to take birth again with that person." Therefore, the devotee says, Krishna is bringing me the suffering through this agent. And it is not their fault, it is my fault. And I'm just getting a token of what I deserve. So that is not easy to do, but at least we can recognize the benefit of not getting in a fight with somebody. It's Kali Yuga after all, and there's fights going on. Even in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's fights, right? And so what happens is a small mistake, which is a legitimate offense, becomes escalated. For example, when Maharaj Pariksit put the stake around Shanaka Rishi, right? Just out of an uncharacteristic amount of anger. He did this, and then the sage was not offended, but his son was so offended that he cursed him to die. You know? So it went from a little offense to this huge event. That also happened with Sati and Shiva and Daksha. All this was escalated and escalated. So if we blame the agent of our karma, we just escalate. And if we wish ill, maybe we don't blame them, but in our heart, and we're chanting our japa. If we wish ill for other people, does that please Krishna? Krishna is fond of all his parts and parcels, but we're wishing ill on behalf of Krishna. See? So that also is something we really can't offer to Krishna. So when we're hurt by somebody or we're going through something that seems to be someone else's fault, Urmila Mataji has a beautiful little prayer. She says, "May they learn in joy." May they learn in joy. A very useful mantra. If you're mad at somebody, just pray, "Krishna, may they learn in joy." We might think, "Oh, I got to correct this person so this person doesn't do it to me again or to somebody else. If they hurt somebody else in this way, I'll feel so guilty." So we may even have a good reason to try to correct somebody. But may they learn in joy. That is really the only way that we can go beyond this fight and defending propensity of striking back. Is that all right? Okay. Thank you. All right.
You mentioned that every devotee, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, last line they write a name. And they are very humble. I'm not qualified to chant your name. Bhaktivinoda says, I would like to be born in this home in the stool of the devotee. So as a layman, my question, if I go to a doctor says, I'm not qualified doctor. The patient may lose faith. So will not this make the newcomers when they make such statements like David and Acharya, oh, they're not qualified, how can I be qualified? How can I answer that?
That's degree of humility is unfamiliar to the lay person, right? Yeah, generally we're looking how many hits we get on Instagram or what. Can you see this poem written by Bhaktivinoda has 2 million hits. Right. The difficulty is for us to realize that they're speaking honestly. They are not mouthing some platitudes of humility. No, they're speaking what they see. So this is self-realization, means to begin to see ourselves as we are, not as our ego interprets ourselves to be. And when we see that, we begin to see many faults, many attachments, many petty qualities, many self-centered habits. And self-realization means to get a clear vision of those things. So I'm convinced. I mean, sometimes Prabhupada and others say, well, these are expressions of humility. They are. I'm also convinced they're expressions of self-realization. This is what I see when I look within myself. And you may see something else, but this is what I really see. This is what I know to be true. That I am petty, I am self-centered, I am puffed up, I am attached. You know, I have these anarthas, and they're very present in me. So when I read these things, I have a different perspective in that way. They're just speaking. They're not being gratuitous at all. They're just being candid. This is what I see. This is who I am. Anyone else like to address that? When the acharyas speak about themselves in very humble ways, how does that affect you? What do you think?
Like before this WhatsApp extra came, we should write emails. Your own law. We write a big email to my godbrother. Last we write your humble servant. Most equally with the sense of it. We write all low, we feel low. But next day we act differently. So one of the serious messages you are telling me. You write, I'm trying to be a humble servant.
I'm trying to be a humble servant.
Sometimes we talk that I'm a humble servant, the next day you don't be humble. And now in WhatsApp and message when you write, you don't write humble servant. Abruptly we just like, nowhere I've seen any message coming in WhatsApp, many devotee. They don't write, accept my humble obeisance, please accept, download Srila Prabhupada, last I write my name and be humble servant. Social message in the media, we just directly write.
Yes, it's just like preloaded on every letter. I'm sure you all know that Sumitra Krishna Prabhu is an expert in AI, at least expert in applying it in creative ways. So
sometimes I realize that AIs are not taught to be humble. Even you actually write any word, sentence, if they don't be arrogant, be humble. So Krishna, I was saying Krishna's teachings relate to me.
Yes, so Sumitra Krishna Prabhu posted something from AI on our chat group the other day. And then somebody said, well, sometimes AI is wrong. And so he asked the AI, I said, yes, I make mistakes sometimes. And so, yeah, a lot. I often make mistakes. And so I said, this is artificial humility, right? There was a devotee years ago who wrote a Vyas Puja offering for Srila Prabhupada, which just totally exemplified artificial humility. So Vyas Puja is supposed to be glorifying the spiritual master. His entire offering was saying what a rotten person he was. I am a terrible devotee, I have so many attachments, I have this and this and this. Not one word in glorifying Prabhupada, just all about himself. And then he signs at the end, begging to remain your useless servant. Shouldn't we hope to be useful one day? So yes, we actually express humility by glorifying our spiritual master and the Lord and the devotees. In the Nectar of Devotion it said that one whose tongue is graced with praise for others is worshipable even by the demigods. So we try to find the good things in others. We try to catch others doing things right. We recognize sincerely the good qualities that others have. Then we are Krishna conscious. Then we feel very, very enlivened. And that mood of appreciation and gratitude is our way of thanking Krishna for this opportunity to serve in the association of devotees. All right, may I share a little poem with you real quickly? This is a poem that I wrote about Srila Prabhupada in reference to his sacrifice that we're singing about in this bhajan. And the editors of Back to Godhead chose this to publish in his centennial issue in 1996. So I kind of share my life and Prabhupada's life here. It's It's called All That Lies Between. You could have stayed in Vrajadam, where chanting is most sweet, or moved to holy Navadweep in spiritual retreat. Your godbrothers had temples there with room enough for you to sit and speak on holidays to a visitor or two. You could have said, "It's Krishna's will, my visa was denied. I may have failed, but now I know at least that I have tried." Your patron said you'd die abroad. Your godbrothers just scoffed. You could have said, "Who will meet the boat and guide me safely off?" You could have had one look at us and said, "What have I done?" and caught the next boat back to home, unblamed by anyone. The Westerners, you could have said, can go to hell and stay. Who would have disagreed with you? We were well on our way. Instead, you laid your final years like flowers at Krishna's feet. Siddhanta's smile, your hidden guide, Thakur's vision in reach. Producing 80 volumes as you guided us along, you showed us how to cook prasad and teach Lord Krishna's song. And as we teach, the boys and girls from every land on earth come forth to serve you, Prabhupada, renewed in second birth. I could have been a PhD if I had stayed in school, piled up a couple million, built a fancy house and pool. I could have written novels, legislated laws and rules, or been a famous music star. I could have just been cool. Instead, I laid my youthful years like flowers at your feet. Malpuras caused my interest, and samosas my defeat. My dad said, "Son, you're brainwashed." My friend said, "You're a fool." My blunders as a Vaishnava were many, victories few. Reflecting on my bygone youth, as one my age is prone, I wouldn't trade your glance for gold, your words for precious stones. This morning on the Japa trail, the northern star shone down, so fixed and true it seemed like you with devas dancing round. Then dawn concealed that starry stage and lit a wintry scene of all you are and all I am and all that lies between. To be with Srila Prabhupada was really awesome before that word lost its meaning. You know, today, like they say, oh, there's a new flavor of bubblegum. It's really awesome. But it was like being in the presence of divinity. It was like when Srila Prabhupada was there were no problems. And there was a sense, like if you're crossing a busy street holding your father's hand, you may not be aware of the dangers, but you trust your father. So we knew any problem, any issue that came up, Prabhupada could solve it. So it was this deep sense of security and confidence, and that was how devotees were so empowered to go out and do things that they could not have done otherwise. Like going to countries where they'd never been, as languages they didn't know, starting temples with no money. You know this story about the devotees going to England? These three couples Prabhupada sent to England. So in those days, you had to have $1,000 to show at the border in order to enter the country. So the three couples flew to Amsterdam, and then they borrowed $1,000 from Srila Prabhupada. And the first couple sailed over, and they showed the money, and then they entered the country. And then they wired it back to the second couple, and they came across, showed the money, got in. And they wired it back to the third couple, came across, showed it, and then they sent it back to Srila Prabhupada. It's a true story. So, you know, and they were not allowed to work in the country. They could speak the language, but they were not allowed to work. So they just struggled and scrambled for a year somehow or other. And then within a couple of years, Hare Krishna was all over the country. So Prabhupada empowered the devotees to exceed their own self-imposed limitations just because of the power of his sacrifice. What he had done, anything we could do would pale in comparison. So to see how Krishna worked through this one humble devotee, and to see all this devotees manifesting around in all the temples and all the books and all the excitement and all the growth, it was amazing. When I was 23, 24 years old, I was convinced actually it was 20, I was 21 years old, I was convinced the whole country of America will be Krishna conscious within 5 years, maximum. This is just so much better. Any fool can see this is so much better way to live, you know. Yeah. But it didn't exactly work out like that. Still, that was the great benefit of being able to see Srila Prabhupada in person. However, now you have much more opportunity to get to know Prabhupada than we did in those days. There was no biography. There were only a few lecture tapes and a couple of bhajan tapes. That's all we had, and a handful of books. So today there's so much. Prabhupada may be the best recorded or documented religious leader in history. Very good chance that is true. But scholars say that's a curse and a blessing. It's a blessing because we can all get to know him so much more deeply. It's a curse because if he says one thing over here and one thing different over there, So we always have to take the statements in context and understand that Krishna is not limited. Like the atheists like to make the argument, can God make a rock that's so heavy he can't lift it? Aha, gotcha. And Prabhupada said, yes, and then he can lift it. So in the same way, Prabhupada could give contradictory instructions, and we may come across them in our studies. For example, once in Vrindavan, there was a devotee who was the temple president, and he was a very scholarly devotee, and maybe not so inspirational. So another devotee came who had just taken sannyas, and he was really fired up, and he went in and led fired up kirtans and gave fired up classes, and devotees started thinking, oh, we'd like him to be the temple president. So when this got to Prabhupada, he called both sannyasis in this room. And he said to the newcomer, the charismatic newcomer, he said, look, why are you staying here in Vrindavan? Sannyas means you go out and preach. You should be out there doing Harinam and meeting people and spreading Krishna consciousness. And then he turned to the other sannyasi and he said, and you stay here in Vrindavan and manage. So there's plenty of room for diversity, as long as we can recognize the difference between details and principles. Okay, anything else on this Prabhupada meditation? Should we do one more bhajan? Yes. Okay, I like to sing them Bengali and English, but there's one that's rather long we have in English only. Is that okay? This is Gopinath by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Okay. Let's see, we have a microphone? Thank you. Thank you. Well, you can just sing this in unison, okay? Now we'll just sing all together. Gopinath. No, in unison. You have to move ahead. We'll all sing together. Ready? Gopinath, would you be so kind to hear me? Desires make my mind wicked all the time, with not one virtue to endear me. Gopinath, I have no one else to turn to. Your two soft lotus feet are my sanctuary. Please allow me just to serve you. Gopinath, what can ever purify me? Devotion has escaped My manipulations, worldly life now horrifies me. Gopinath, everything here is your Maya. I have no potency. Wisdom flies from me as my body falls to desires. Gopinath, may I ever stay at your feet. Through unrelieved weeping comes this sinner pleading for your precious gift of mercy. Gopinath, you can surely sanction anything. Your power can deliver all the worst offenders. What offender can exceed me? Gopinath, you are like a sea of mercy. This world is very cruel, yet you come for us fools as your pastimes keep increasing. Gopinath, my corruption has no measure. Demons, beasts, and fiends have attained to your feet. Bhakti Vinoda remains here. Gopinath, Gopinath, please remove this worldly agony. My ignorance just hurts. How can I endure the births and deaths strung out before me? Gopinath, I'm a servant of desire, intense lusty cravings from my heart awaken, squeezing tight the noose of Maya. Gopinath, when I wake up from this ignorance, this lust my enemy, I at last will leave and fix my heart for your appearance. Gopinath, I am meant to serve as your son. I have forsaken you, worshipping illusion. I forgot my rightful fortune. Gopinath, you of course understand everything. You duly reprimand your indentured man now. Kindly place him at your lotus feet. Gopinath, is this truly your decision on seeing me averse? Will you now desert me without one drop of compassion? Gopinath, such a stupid fool have I been. What truly benefits I have yet to witness. Now I live in this condition. Gopinath, Next to you no one is wiser. A fool like me is blessed by your simple glances. Do not think me an outsider. Gopinath, Gopinath. This entangling world defeats me. If you show causeless grace, if you tolerate me, your compassion will release me. Gopinath, how my crazy mind disturbs me. It won't trust anyone. Uselessly it goes on in the dark pit of the worldly. Gopinath, my defeat needs no explaining. All I have tried to do is completely useless. You're the only hope remaining. Gopinath, how can I now make advancement? My senses are so strong. My mind goes along and will not give up its attachments. Gopinath, after sitting in my heart's core, you make my mind subdued. Kindly take me to you, free me from these worldly dangers. Gopinath, you can see that I am helpless. Your senses are controlled. Please control mine also. Save me from this dark existence. Gopinath, Maya's noose is now on my throat. The sword of your mercy can alone release me. Make a servant of Vinodam. Gopinath, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Gopinath. Jai Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Any reflections on these verses? Any of them stand out in your mind that you especially remember?
It was reflecting our whole mind when I sing. I could sincerely pray to Lord with this. So I was feeling a little overwhelming. But at the same time, I feel that how Bhaktivinoda Thakur is, helping us to meditate on this. And it's purely very amazing to sing along with you. Thank you so much.
We're just channeling Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Can you imagine these deep feelings he's expressing? Such an accomplished person also. All that I've done is useless. Yes.
Hare Krishna. This song, I could relate too much with this song. It was actually reading my heart and mind. These things were going on in my mind since few days. And the same thing I was singing today, so I could really relate with this.
So Bhaktivinoda gave voice to your own feelings. Very nice, very nice. That's the whole goal, yes. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das especially wrote in very simple, common vernacular language so people could immediately understand and embrace these. Thank you very, very much. Any other comments? Sumitra Krishna Prabhu.
Prabhu, actually this is one that shows, this is only Tabara is good. The other songs drums are very good. Drums are very good.
Drum set would be very good for them.
This is
for Gopinath, thank you. The way you played was great. Thank you. Prabhu, yes.
Here we find that the devotee is commanding the Lord. Your senses are pure. My senses are not controlled. Why would you also help me to control myself? In a way, devotee is demanding the Lord. We always say we should not ask anything. Here, the Lord is very happy that devotee is asking him this. That Lord is
help me control them. Yes.
He's telling you control my mind. And you can control the mind.
All he's asking for. That's a beautiful point. You know, in my youth we said what we call the Lord's Prayer. It's kind of like a shopping list of requests. Our Father who art in heaven, give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses and forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not in... Well, it's a similar thing. Lead us not into temptation. Yeah. The point is that we're asking God generally for things that are within our capacity. But those things that are not in our capacity, then we have to be able to say, now I can only depend on Him. Yeah.
Recently I was in Kumbhakonam and devotees should be a temple was Harkapan in Devashekhar. Every Srirangam or any temple of Vishnu is lying down and his face is seeing the sky. In this temple, the Lord is seeing the devotee's face. So the Pujari told the story why there's an Alvar called Tirmu Ishai. He walked kilometers. Those days there was no vehicles, car. He walked and walked and walked. Later when he saw the Lord, not seeing him, see there, he was very angry with the Lord. Amen. Oh Lord, why are you not seeing me? Please glance your eyes on my this fallen soul. Is it because during Vamana Avatar you lifted your leg very high? Is it because during Rama Avatar you walked a lot? He keeps on saying many things. Lord is praise this devotee. As soon as he sees devotee, he did not give up his dance. And that day onwards, the Lord is always, whenever devotees go to take darshan, he says, Lord, see your face.
So he's a little demanding in a good way. That's the thing, we have a right to say, okay, Krishna, what's going on here? That's all right. That's not crossing the line. When we say, Krishna, you're really mistreating me, that's a different thing. We can inquire what is going on. Okay, Krishna, why am I going through this? What is your plan? What are you trying to teach me? That's all legitimate. But when we say, Krishna, that's not fair. That's not right. Then we're losing it. We're hurting our faith. My friend Guru Gauranga Prabhu was a law student, and in his first year in law school, he said they taught us never to say the F word. Fair. Law is not fair. If you say in the law school, oh, that doesn't seem fair, then everyone knows you're a freshman. So in the same way, when Krishna acts, it doesn't have to be fair. He's not obliged by the rules of karma or justice or anything. He can do whatever he likes. And sometimes it feels like that. But then we have a right to say, okay, Krishna, what's the lesson here? Why you're not looking at me? That's okay. Okay, thank you. Very good. Anything else? Yes, Prabhu.
as devotees, at least me, we are all struggling in the unalterability stage. And in this song, I feel that how this song can help me to overcome that unalterability state, because we are constantly, that's the motive of the prayer, that somehow how we can overcome the anarthas.
Mm-hmm. And how do we overcome the anarthas? What is the lesson you learned from this?
I mean, to chant and to surrender to Gopinath, and at least to, one is the recognition of our anarthas. So there is a lot of deeper analysis of the anarthas which are there. And that's why I can immediately identify, yes, this one also, yes, this one also. So one is the recognition, and second is by Lord's grace and our endeavor, we can get over.
Thank you very much. You remember that one verse he says, on seeing me averse will you now desert me without one drop of compassion. That's pushing it to the point of almost desperation, hopelessness. And yet he doesn't maintain that mood. He does express it, which is beautiful, because that it crosses all of our minds. Have you forgotten me? Have you overlooked? Have you made a mistake here? Can I share with you one story? That's reminded me, in Gainesville, Florida, we have an ashram for young devotees, many of whom are new to Krishna consciousness. And as part of the curriculum, we sometimes invite leaders of other faith groups near the university campus to come and explain their faith to the students. I find it's actually very helpful for the newcomers, because they see how rich is our philosophy. So there was a leader from a church called the Mormon Church, which is popular in America. You have them here in South India? Very few. They go all over the world anyway, but it's a popular church in America. So he said, or one of the devotees was asking this question, why do bad things happen to good people? And he kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit. And finally he kept pressing, and he said, well, maybe God is new at his job. And the young lady who was asking the question said, new at his job? So in their faith, the idea is if you're a good Mormon, you'll become Jesus in your own universe. And if you're a good Jesus, then you'll become God in your own universe. It's ultimately impersonal. There's some unknown power beyond, but each universe has a God. And so it's kind of like demigod worship. And so maybe in our particular universe, God is new, and he may have screwed up in your case. So unless we understand that everything is controlled by Krishna, it's very hard to deal with challenges. And even then it's hard, but at least we have an understanding. Krishna is doing this for some reason. I may not be able to see it now, but Krishna is doing this for some reason. All right, thank you. Anything else? Okay. Yes? One last. Oh.
We heard those words where the Lord says, the only sword to cut asunder the Maya's noose, this is mercy. So even you said that Brahma said the same thing. We have to anticipate His mercy and to actually endure all the pains that we have done. So could you please shed some light, one light on this?
Yes, to be a devotee means to be optimistic, to be hopeful, to think, my situation is so bad, Krishna can't help me. This is the mode of ignorance. Okay? So, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are an explanation by Lord Kapila about devotional service in the three modes of nature. Have you read this part? Very interesting. Devotional service in the mode of ignorance, passion, and goodness. It's still devotional service, but it's infected by these modes to a certain extent. So if we're hopeless, this is devotional service in the mode of ignorance. All right, I'll chant my rounds, but what's the use? See, I'm no good anyway. I'm not sure Krishna loves me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So in the mode of passion, devotional service is like, I'm going to be the best devotee in the temple. I'm chanting 40 rounds a day, and I'm going to post it on my website so everybody sees. And devotional service in the mode of goodness just means I am expecting Krishna's mercy. I am realistic about where I am. I'm not advanced. I'm not any big devotee. I'm just very fortunate to be in this position, and I fully expect that if nothing else, Krishna will pull me out of this material world when I leave my body. Therefore, my future is bright. Whatever else may happen between now and then, my future is bright because Krishna is so kind. Okay. All right, any last comments or thoughts? Mataji? Thank you. Haribo.
So, Prabhuji, when we were going through this song, so I was just thinking like how in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and Arjuna is bewildered and he's asking questions. And then our acharyas explain that it is for our benefit that Arjuna is asking. So I could feel that something similar here. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is expressing all what the normal, regular sadhaka may face. So that, and then he is channelizing it and he's showing the solution also. So he's taking everything on himself, but it is for all of us to learn because so many of us resonated with what we were reading. So he was just there expressing us and telling us that if this is the problem, then what is the possible solution also. And second thing, I could see some similarity here, and then we read Markine Bhagavad. So I could feel that the same mood continues there in the parampara. So Srila Prabhupada in that parampara, some reflections were there. And then I was just thinking, like I attended your yesterday's Bhagavatam class, today Bhagavatam, and then these classes. So how you are also carrying the same mood forward and how you are making us so much Prabhupada conscious. So that is very, very beautiful. I really appreciate that, Prabhu, that during the classes also, like it so naturally comes to you that Prabhupada says this, Prabhupada says this. So often you are quoting Srila Prabhupada, and we also aspire, like just by your association of a few hours, and we also aspire to have that faith and to have that connection with Srila Prabhupada and with this glorious parampara. And for our benefit, you have simplified this, Prabhu. So we have read these songs before, but the way at least I am feeling while singing, so that transcendental feeling, it is all your mercy and grace that you have connected. So very grateful to you.
Thank you. That is just, I have no qualification to be here except for Srila Prabhupada. And when my godbrother Sridhar Maharaj was leaving his body many years ago, I had one time a chance to speak to him in Mayapur. I said, do you have any last instructions for me? He said, yes, take the love that Srila Prabhupada has given you and give it to others. So that's sort of my GPS, and you're so kind to help me feel like it's of some value. It gives my life purpose. And the thing is that Srila Prabhupada is able to empower us all. Like in the Ramanuja Sampradaya or Madhva Sampradaya, there's this great Acharya at the head. The difference in ISKCON is that really we want to reach out to the world. And we want to show how relevant Krishna consciousness is for people in all countries and all cultures. That's what sets our founder Acharya apart. And so doing that according to our ability, according to our opportunity, the best we can, that's how we will always be connected with Srila Prabhupada. He's the founder Acharya, and then he was expecting millions of others would be, as he said, regular Acharyas. Servant Acharyas. So thank you. That's my aspiration, and I'm very glad that you found some value in this. When I saw on the schedule a 3-hour class, okay, that's something I've never done before. You do this every Sunday? No, now and again.
45 minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes left. 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Well.
But we didn't feel like 3 hours.
It didn't feel like 3 hours for me either, because you're so nice.
Interval now.
It feels like interval now.
Interval. Okay. So we take an interval for about 6 hours or so.
3 more hours of.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, any other last thoughts and comments? Okay.
We all need blessings. That we can also.
Blessings. What can I say? You have to understand that when I come here and I take pictures and I send them to my friends in America, there's, wow, ISKCON is doing so well in India. I mean, the scale and the scope of what you're doing, reaching 49,000 people to chant around a day, I mean, unimaginable, but you're doing it. So I feel like you already have Prabhupada's blessings. And in many respects, I'm just here soaking them up. Want to maintain? What to maintain? Yes, well, seeing these young men here is very encouraging, young ladies. You know, the youth are really the future. And what you can do in your lives to share Krishna consciousness, it's just really unlimited. You're starting from a position far ahead of where we started. See, whatever little development we have done. In America, the pioneers, they first settled on the East Coast, and then they discovered they could make money on going to the West Coast, so it was about a 2,000 or 3,000 mile journey by wagon train and horses across this dangerous middle section of the country. About 1 out of 3 died on the way for the first pioneers. And then they established the trails and trading posts, and things got a little easier. Now you can make that trip in about 2.5 hours for $150. You know? So the point is that the pioneers paid some price to make it easier for successive generations. So the best way you can thank them is just to take advantage of the advantages that they have given. And you do that by chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 principles. That's all. All you need to worry about. And beyond that, Krishna will give you intelligence, how to use your life and be Krishna conscious and give Krishna consciousness. So I'm inspired to be here in Chennai, seeing all you've done, all the wonderful devotees. Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Just one last point, if I can add. So Prabhuji, today in the beginning of the session, you were talking about how the movement will stay for 50 years, and then there is an opportunity that it will continue forever.
Yes.
So we always say and we always feel that all glories to Srila Prabhupada, but standing here where I am in the second generation devotee, I feel that so much credit goes to Prabhupada disciples who could sustain despite so many difficulties and challenges. Because Prabhupada left, and you said that when Prabhupada left, it was like you would not hand over your car keys to such a person, so that those people were the leaders that time.
Yes.
And then what? I mean, for us, it came like on a platter, on a golden platter. Everything was there. We just have to digest the struggle, the challenges from within the society, from outside. So that would have been such a difficult time. So
everything happens by Krishna's arrangement. You know, he has special facility for you to get on the golden platter, so you can make it a platinum platter or whatever, you know, for the next. The challenge is keeping the purity. That's what really will sustain ISKCON. Even if it doesn't grow externally, if the devotees are chanting 16 rounds and following the principles, then the movement will grow. It's like the sweet shop in Calcutta, and they're famous because they only sell sweets made in pure ghee. Yeah, everybody knows that. And so ISKCON will be like that. We may not have as much money, or we may not be as spectacular, or whatever, this or that, but we have this foundational purity. Everything will continue to grow. And it will grow in a sustainable way. I would say that's what saved us after the chaos of Prabhupada's departure. So stick to the 16 rounds and 4 regular principles, then everything worked out in time. All right.
Can you share that yesterday you shared going to bed early or getting up early?
Oh, yes. This is, people always ask, so you've been able to stay in Krishna consciousness through your life. What is your secret? I said, the big secret is go to bed early. It's the discipline it takes to go to bed early is a small thing. But if you develop that habit, then you have your morning hours for chanting. And those hours are the best for chanting or for doing anything, really, whatever it is you like to do. At the end of the day, we have a tendency to take me time. Okay, I've been working all day, let me now just scroll or space out or do something. Even if you want to have me time, do it in the morning. Go to bed at night when the body's tired, get your rest, and then wake up early. You don't even need an alarm clock. If you go to bed at 9 o'clock, you'll wake up from Mangalarti without an alarm clock. And you may even wake up earlier and have extra time. And this is a discipline that is a little beyond the regulative principles and at the same time makes all the difference. Sanisha sarvabhutanam yasyam jagrati bhutani yasyam jagrati sarvani sanisha pashuto mune. Krishna says that what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled. Right? So everybody else is out partying and watching TV and wasting time. We go to bed. And it's just like, there's no shortcut. You just have to turn off the lights and get in bed. 9 o'clock, it's bedtime. One of my godbrothers used to say, I turn into a pumpkin at 9 o'clock. You just do it. Some nights, of course, we're out late for preaching. That's something different. But whenever we have control, being in bed at 9 means we'll get the morning hours. What is it? 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. is Sattva Guna. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is Rajaguna. And 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. that's Tamaguna. So the more we're sleeping during Tamaguna, that's good. That's a good use of Tamaguna. And then the more we wake up and take advantage of Sattva Guna. All my books I write, for the last 25 years, I write in the morning, 45 minutes a day, that's it. And for me, it's my great joy in life. It would be to have this opportunity to write. And my head is more clear, so I really encourage you to, whatever it is you like to do for Krishna, make that time for yourself in the morning. Be good to your sadhana. Okay, is that enough of pep talk? Speaking of which, if you like any of my books, please help yourself in the back. I don't want to take any with me today. Yeah? Yeah, I can sign if you like. Just grab one and sign if you want to make some donation. Prabhuji, could you take any donations people might want to make? Especially you brahmacharis who don't have any Lakshmi, you please take one at least once. My compliments, okay? And anyone that you want. Let the brahmacharis go first, all right? Okay. Oh, they're working? Oh, never mind. That's all right. That's good. That's great. Anyway, if you'd like, please take one, and I'd be happy to sign. And again, thank you for inviting me and for giving me this opportunity to share today. It was a joy. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So by great fortune, by the blessing of Hari Guru Vaishnava, His Grace Kalakantha Prabhu has come to Chennai. He says he has come first time. And I hope and pray, I am sure all of you resonate with that desire that this is not the last. And then he comes frequently every time. Prabhu, we request every time you visit India, you please make sure that we request you.
Thank you.
To please come to Chennai.
Thank you.
And if you know in advance, then we can plan various sessions and workshops. And I'm sure that the entire yatra will develop pure Krishna consciousness, and we'll be all enthused in our practices of devotional service. And it has also come at a very time, because His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj usually travels in this period, and we feel orphan during this time. So you're visited, it's like, you know, one Acharya goes away, another Acharya comes to hold our hands and guides us towards the supreme abode of the Lord.
Hare Krishna.
So devotees can pick up the books. I think 7 titles, Prabhu, 7 titles are there.
Complete set also.
A complete set also, and if there is any donation, you can give it to Veer Gaur Prabhu. He will collect it on your behalf. And we have the opportunity today to take Prabhu's divine signatures on the divine transcendental books. So please take full advantage.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.